Do you remember a movie called The Sound of Freedom? You might have heard of it from your weird uncle that nobody really likes to invite over for dinner or something. And it made a few headlines when it was released for being QAnon adjacent, whatever that meant. And it also made slightly bigger headlines because one of its investors was arrested shortly after the film's release for child kidnapping, which is supposed to be the very thing the film is against. So the movie Sound of Freedom raised tens of millions of dollars for the organization OUR, Our Underground Railroad. And it's that organization I would like to talk to you about today, specifically in relation to the movie Sound of Freedom. Our Underground Railroad, OUR, was founded in 2013 by Ballard. So the movie sold itself as the true story of ex-federal agent Tim Ballard and how he did what white dudes do the best, and that's appropriate black culture by founding his own organization called Our Underground Railroad, OUR, which is his own organization for helping victims of child trafficking because apparently the US government wouldn't let him do it at his old job properly. Now, Vice investigators did look into Ballard's claims of being a federal agent, and while they couldn't verify the truth of a lot of his claims, a lot of the information they did find did seem to be exaggerated in the movie, or just happened to be very misleading information. One victim Ballard claims to have helped, named Liliana, which is not her real name, who they claim to have helped escape a trafficking organization, is actually someone who managed to escape the trafficking group herself after 3 years of abuse. And Ballard has basically been using her own story as a means to raise funds for OUR, which is basically what the movie Sound of Freedom was also made to do. And unfortunately, the profits made from Liliana's story were not used to save more children. In fact, they were used to promote Donald Trump in his message to build the wall. The way OUR conduct their operations is by sending operatives to locations where they suspect there would be trafficking going on of children and women. And they would essentially conduct these military-style raids where they run in, point guns at everyone, yell a lot, and heroically save people, and then they call the police to arrest the traffickers and such. Only the issue here is the women and children that they end up saving end up severely traumatized by having some dudes point guns in their face and yell at them. And what's worse is OUR does no real meaningful follow-up regarding any of these victims. So what tends to happen is after they've filmed these videos of raids being conducted, which they do upload to their YouTube channel afterwards, they don't check with any of the victims, and most of the time those women and children they claim to have saved and are high-fiving over get arrested and then deported. The way OUR also conducts operations has been called into question quite a lot, because what they do is they don't do the sensible thing, which is to look into reports of missing children in areas or whatever. What they do is they send undercover operatives to try and hire out sex work in countries and then specifically request underage workers. And what would happen then is the traffickers would perceive that as an increase in demand for children, and they'd go out of their way to then traffic more children. So OUR instead has actually increased demand for child trafficking. One of the most infamous cases of OUR fucking things up royally is when Ballard contacted the father of a missing child, claiming they found where his son is, and asked him to fly to a village on the border of Haiti to be reunited with his son. And he claimed to have gotten this information from a informant he was rather cagey about. Now, to cut a long story short, this operation was a failure and the child was not found, and that father wasted the trip all the way to Haiti. And it turns out the informant the Ballard got his information from was a psychic from Utah named Janet Russon, who claimed to be able to speak with a dead Mormon prophet. And if that wasn't bad enough, one of the operatives of OUR, which also became one of the executive producers of the movie Sound of Freedom, was caught on camera groping the breasts of an underage child they were trying to rescue. And this video was suppressed by OUR in an attempt to cover things up. It was later found by the FBI when they investigated OUR. And to top things all off, Ballard actually left the organization after 7 women filed claims against him for sexual misconduct. And allegedly what would happen is he would invite women on undercover missions to save children from trafficking, and he would coerce them into sharing a bed with him in a hotel and showering together to maintain their cover. Anyway, help me get higher up in the algorithm on TikTok by just telling me what D&D class you'd like to play. It really helps.